for Israel. Example, Allah had prohibited riba, borrowing and lending money on interest, riba. But if you go to the Torah today, you'll see the Torah says that it is haram for an Israelite to lend money on interest to his brother Israelite. A Jew should not lend to a Jew on interest, no. Haram. But it is halal. He can lend money on interest to those who are not Jews. No. That's right. You made halal what Allah made haram. And the rabbis accepted it, and the people followed the rabbis. I lived in New York for 10 years, I know. So what they did was to make haram what Allah made haram, halal. In order for them to institute a monetary system which will prohibit the use of gold and silver as money, they needed big walls. And they needed to win the war. And that is the First and Second World War. And a new monetary system came to the world after the Second World War. That monetary system has been with us since then, 1944. But I have news for you tonight. There's another war coming. And it's just around the corner. And when that war comes, they're going to finish this monetary system. They don't need it anymore. And they'll bring a new one. But the Mufti doesn't know that. Who gives it bogus fatwa that the money we're now using is halal. Mufti, are you listening to me? Mufti, you're going to have to answer in the grave, Mufti, for declaring this money to be halal. No. This money was possible because they first declared that money to be haram. The Articles of Agreement of the International Monetary Fund prohibit the use of gold as money. Dr. Mahathir was not aware of that. I am not a politician. I don't comment on politics. But when someone does what is right, I declare that he did what is right, and I don't care who is annoyed with me. A scholar of Islam doesn't bow his head before public opinion. Dr. Mahathir was not aware. The International Monetary Fund prohibited the use of gold as money. But Dr. Mahathir was able to recognize, and no one else recognized, that this was wrong. That this was wrong. That you cannot prohibit the use of gold as money. And Dr. Mahathir did what no one else did in the history of this country. Let me remind the Malaysian people, if they need to be reminded, that Dr. Mahathir did what no one else did ever did, and perhaps no one else will ever do. When I met him, I told him that. I said, you're the second one to do it. The first was General Charles de Gaulle. General Charles de Gaulle recognized that this was wrong, this was unjust. Bringing a new monetary system in the world, and in order for this bogus system to survive, you have to prohibit the use of gold as money. So Charles de Gaulle stood up in the French National Assembly in 1966. That's why the French people loved Charles de Gaulle. And he blasted them. In the French National Assembly, he blasted them. And he declared this to be an unjust monetary system that you brought into the world. And so they took out their knives for him. Yeah. And they finished him. And after Charles de Gaulle, the only other one was Dr. Mahathir. And so this country should be proud of Dr. Mahathir. Because he recognized what no one else recognized. And no one else dares to recognize. They don't have the courage to recognize what he recognized. And tonight I have to give credit where credit is due, regardless of the price I have to pay. At the time when I said that Dr. Mahathir was only the second, I was wrong. I didn't know he was the third. I didn't know that there was one before him. I didn't know that there was one before Charles de Gaulle. But he's today forgotten. They call him a playboy. Ahmad Sukarno was more than a playboy. Ahmad Sukarno was more than a playboy. When Indonesia became independent, Ahmad Sukarno called in the ulama. He had the courage to do it. And he asked them about this money. I'm not a scholar of Islam. You are the scholar. Tell me, how can we have paper as money? How can we have paper as money? And the ulama replied to him and said to him, the paper would be halal only if it is redeemable in gold. Meaning you could take the paper and get the gold at a fixed rate. So the paper will be like a check. So Ahmad Sukarno decided that the Indonesian rupiah would be redeemable in gold. And he fixed the rate. But the people who want to rule the world, they had made that haram. In the Articles of Agreement of the International Monetary Fund. So they had to launch a coup via a crooked man called Suharto to get rid of Sukarno. So there were three.